And if you know what the silverware is for, you can read the table and tell what you're going to have. So I can look at this place setting and see that I've got this little fork over here that is a cocktail fork. This tells me that I'm going to have a seafood cocktail.
And that's on the outside, so that's going to be first.
That's on the outside, and it's going to be first. And then I have the spoon here, and this little round spoon tells me that I'm going to have a soup course. And then you see that we have a fork and a knife that complement each other on each side, and that tells me that I then am going to use both implements at the same time for that course. So I have a seafood cocktail fork, I have a soup spoon, I have a fish knife and fish fork, which tells me I'm going to have a fish course. I then have a main course or dinner knife or dinner size knife and a dinner size fork. This tells me I'm going to have a meat course, main course, and then I have my salad fork and a salad knife.
Okay.
The salad fork on the inside tells me that my salad will be served last. And in the continental fashion, the salad is served after the main course. When you have silverware above the dinner plate, it is for dessert. And when dessert is served, then you would bring those implements down next to your dessert plate and then utilize them. You may not always have them there. If they're not there, they will be presented at the time dessert is served.
What kind of dessert would this be that requires a fork and a spoon?
You might have a cake with some ice cream that you could use both utensils for, or you may just have a fork, or you may just have a spoon that would tell you only need one implement. But if it's above the dinner plate, it's for dessert.
All right.
Bread and butter plate is always on the left side of the dinner plate, and the glasses are always on the right. Liquids are served from the right. Our other food is served from the left. If you remember that solids are on the left, that liquids are on the right.
When you give these classes, are people amazed at what you've just taught them?
Well, I think people are amazed that it's easier than what they think, because so many people get hung up on the fork. Is it important to know the forks? Yes, it is, but it's not the end of the world if you pick up the wrong fork. The most important thing is to be able to communicate at the table.
We are now a global society that has become smaller.
Yes.
And you have a difference between international dining
Yes.
and what, domestic, or what is the opposite?
Well, there are two major kinds of dining or styles of eating. And in America, we have what we call the American style or the zigzag style. And I'm going to pick up the dinner knife and the dinner fork, and we, first of all, put the ends of them in the palm of our hand, and then we turn them over. And our index finger goes on the back of the tines and a little down, about a 1/4 inch down on the knife. And so we would put the tines of the fork in the bite that's going to we're going to convey to our mouth, but you're going to cut. In the American style or the zigzag style, we place this knife on the plate, rest it there, and then we transfer to our dominant hand. So I encourage people who are going to be doing a lot of dining internationally to adopt the continental style, get used to it and comfortable with it. It's very efficient. It's also quieter. If you are in restaurants where people dine continentally, largely in that restaurant, you're not going to hear all of this silverware being dropped and put. So it is quieter, and it really is more efficient. So you bring the food up to your mouth that way. If you are going to be resting in between bites, in the American style, we put this knife like that, and then we would put the fork, we'd rest it tines up. Now, if I was resting, I'm in the resting position or in between bites. In the continental style, we put the silverware in the crisscross position.
Okay.
And it's not so much about the fork. It's really more about being pleasant and being attentive to the people you're with. And you're not always invited for the food. If you're on a job interview meal, they're really scrutinizing you, and they want to know how well you handle yourself. So it's important to be paying attention to the things at hand, answering the questions and being relaxed. And when you know the rules of the table, you can do all of this in a very relaxed manner, and you'll fall into the negotiation of the place settings very easily.